With us here this afternoon is a graduate of Mooseheart from the class of 2011 who has truly embraced our Enter to Learn, Lead to Serve motto. Akeem came to Mooseheart during his high school years and transitioned smoothly. Akeem excelled in school. At Mooseheart, Akeem stayed busy with sports, ROTC, peer ministry, and in band. He graduated as a 2011 valedictorian and utilized his Mooseheart scholarship to attend St. Norbert University for his undergraduate degree in education. After entering college, Akeem began serving right away. He served as a campus tour guide and was a captain on the track team. He graduated from St. Norbert in 2015 with a bachelor's degree in elementary education. That fall, he began serving again by teaching fourth grade at DePere Elementary School. Currently, Akeem serves by volunteering at his local church, coaching middle school track, and working with the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program. Akeem resides in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and is a dynamic, award-winning teacher at DePere Elementary School. Please welcome here today, from the class of 2011, Akeem Edmonds.
Good afternoon. My name is Akeem Edmonds, and I'm a 2011 graduate of Mooseheart. I moved there when I was a sophomore in high school, and I lived in Wisconsin home for 2 years, and then in Iowa home for my senior year. I went to St. Norbert College near Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I graduated in 2015 with a degree in early childhood education. There, I was the student body president and a tour guide ambassador for the school. I was also a mentor for multicultural student programs, a singer for various performance groups, and a captain on my track and field team. I have had the wonderful opportunity to teach abroad in New Zealand for 3 months and to be selected as my commencement speaker for my college graduation. I currently work as a fourth grade teacher in DePere, Wisconsin. I am also a youth leader at my church and a mentor for the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. God has blessed me with an array of incredible opportunities, but one of his best gifts has been this mentality that I'm constantly developing over time. Home isn't confined to any one building or place. It's anywhere in the world that you learn to let people love you. So I'd love to walk you through the different places I once called home and highlight the life lessons I learned along the way. My first home was at 2831 Dewey Avenue in New York City. Growing up in the projects, I came from a place where male influences in my life were scarce, and kids were forced to grow up too fast in order to survive, whether they liked it or not. I am the middle child of 6 kids. From the age of 16, my older brother has been pondering life from the confinements of a jail cell. My 2 older sisters, before the age of 16, have experienced only the struggles of a single motherhood and abusive relationships. My 2 younger sisters fought to stay connected to our family while being tossed around in the foster care system. But growing up, we were all close because we lived together. We experienced homelessness, hunger, and everything else in between, but at least we questioned the unknown and welcomed the possibility of death together. But the major distinction between my siblings and I was that they weren't a human punching bag for an alcoholic with a drug problem. My single mother verbally abused me all the time, telling me how useless I was and how stupid I could be on a daily basis. She also physically abused me, leaving many scars that I still carry today. Anything she could get her hands on, my mother would hit me with. Belts, hangers, extension cords, and even her fists. Basically, whatever was in reach. When I lied, my mother would pour hot sauce down my throat or shove a bar of soap in my mouth. Now, people would say a third grader shouldn't be riding around town on public transportation by himself, that a park bench isn't a place to sleep, that a fourth grader shouldn't witness the loss of life and gunshots right outside of his apartment building, that a fifth grader shouldn't be tossed around from family member to family member just because he lacks discipline, that no one even bothered to teach him, and now no one wants him. But that was something no one ever told me, because I'd grown so accustomed to this way of life that I didn't even question if this was unhealthy. Of course, I must have done something to provoke her, because no one could be that unreasonable to an eight-year-old, right? My mother at the time was my biggest tormentor in life, but at the same time was my source of validation. So let this pain come and then some, because I was a nightmare child who deserved it. This was the home that taught me that no one should ever want to love me, especially if my own mom didn't have the capacity to do it. This was the home that taught me at age 11 how truly disposable I was. But life in the Bronx did contribute to my great smile. I have used these pearly whites to sway many hearts in my 27 years of life. I've used it to win people over, get myself out of tough situations, and more importantly, to brag about my lack of braces in my lifetime. But I like to think I have an award-winning smile, the result of some great acting over the years. However, it's been a constant concealer for hurts too. No one detected the smile that masked the constant disappointment of life, the smile that held back tears from falling. No one was any wiser about my quality of life, which means my smile was working. I sometimes even fooled myself briefly, forgetting that there was a boy, most nights as a kid, asking for a better family and for a break in life. After all the abuse that came my way, my family, decided I needed to be removed from my situation. My second home in life was more stable and much further away than the life I'd ever known. My mom's cousin Chris brought me to live in Chicago with him when I was 11. In retrospect, it was the best decision that could have been made on my behalf. But I hated my cousin Chris for removing me from my only home, however dysfunctional it was. It was a rough 4 or 5 years of keeping Chris at arm's length. Why would I get attached or invested if my family was just going to come back for me anyway? But this was the home that taught me how delicate my heart truly was. I watched it break after constantly calling New York and getting no calls returned. After visiting before holidays to find I didn't quite fit as nicely in my own family's schedules. After questioning whether letters I wrote even made it to their recipients. It was hard being in Chicago because I pushed myself to accomplish something worthy of their attention, something that would make them love me, something that would make them and make me redeemable enough to live at home again. I was a science fair winner in 6th grade, spelling bee champion in 7th grade, 8th grade valedictorian. But none of that stopped my heart from breaking when I learned that my mother terminated all rights as a parent. Chicago was where I learned to sabotage relationships so I wouldn't get hurt again. Chicago didn't fix my self-worth, and I needed Chris out of my life before he too realized I wasn't worth the commitment. After all, he only kept me because I was doing so well in school. So I stole money and I got expelled from private school my sophomore years in hopes to return to New York. However, that plan backfired, and as I realized later, for the better. Chris initially pitched the idea of Mooseheart when he was at his wit's end. The thought of boarding school sounded like a cool idea. Living with my friends on this beautiful campus, learning different vocational skills, sounds innocent enough. Until he mentioned ROTC. He should have left that part out. You want me to stand around and let some random man yell in my face? Yeah, not gonna happen. Abort mission. I'm no longer considering this. So just like the move to Chicago, I went to Mooseheart kicking and screaming. It was something I came to love and enjoy though, but it definitely took a shift in my mentality to make it a rewarding experience. I remember my first weeks of Mooseheart very well. The highlight in all of it though was finally getting my own bed. Even in Chicago, I never had my own bed or my own room, so it's the little things. So I loved jumping into it whenever I walked into my room. So my new brothers knew this about me and thought that I needed a proper welcome to Mooseheart. So knowing this fact, they decided to raise my bed and go into my room, and they even made it for me. How nice of them, right? Well, I was singing a different tune when the next time I jumped, I crashed back first into a bed of springs. They'd taken the mattress off, raised my bed frame a little higher, and they hid the mattress behind the door. So you can imagine the pain that I was in after that experience. So after being welcomed and being acclimated to Mooseheart, I still couldn't fathom how this place could be so functional. The point card took some getting used to, and even the structure, but it was the people that floored me. Iowa home with my family teachers, Janice, Eugene, and JJ, and the guys I lived with were the most impactful year that I had. The 10 of us were like real siblings. We fought over dumb things all the time, but went to bat for one another when it really mattered. The family teachers are truly saints in this situation because there were times where we probably put them through hell, and they showed us unconditional love and support. They were probably cursing up a storm in their heads when we misbehaved, but they always were so intentional about expressing their love for us. We mattered to them, and they made sure to show us that. And for me, this was a really new concept. How could you love me when my mom, the only person in life that was guaranteed to love me, did not. That just wasn't possible. And if it was, then it was temporary, because that's what life in New York taught me, and that's what life in Chicago confirmed. All good things must come to an end, because that's the life that God gave me. So for once, I wanted to be in control of how it ended. So in my first month or two of Mooseheart, I decided to end my time by stealing a large sum of money from school. This would make them kick me out, and I could say that I didn't get hurt for once. However, I got consequence for these actions, but I didn't get expelled. My choice did put me in a situation where I was with Stacy Bredehoff, who was a school counselor at the time. The connection allowed me to self-reflect on my life and why I was so hurt. She posed this question to me that to this day rattles me to my core. What actions did you take to become disposable? What did you do to become so unlovable? And when I couldn't pinpoint any one thing, I started to realize some of my redeeming qualities. That I am intelligent, I am personable, I'm full of potential. I am a good kid who at the time was just a victim to a difficult circumstance. And this was a turning point that allowed me to let my walls come down. In Iowa home, Janice showed me love that I never thought I deserved, but still to this day continued to receive. Every holiday break, I went, and I still go back to visit my family teachers in Iowa home. Janice, Eugene, JJ, Angela, they were a part of my support system as I received my college diploma, cheering loudly through tears as I delivered my commencement speech. They are the moms who I reached out to on Mother's Day, and JJ and Eugene are the males who taught me how to carry myself as an educated young black man. They were the images of black males that I never got to see, and ones that influenced my current posture of blackness. This was the home where I was taught that I was lovable by both myself and others. People say that God doesn't give you more than you can handle. I don't think that's true. God sometimes needs to break you in order to realign your heart with how He's destined you to be. The Bible never promised us a perfect or even good life, but God does promise to give us what we need to live a life for Him. And at Mooseheart, I needed to be broken so that I could have my heart softened. Mooseheart gave me a different meaning of the word family. Family is not just the people we are bound to by blood. They taught me family is the people who come into our lives and choose to love us. The ones who we put our walls down for and give permission for our hearts to love back. Sure, my secret comes from these 32 white teeth that make it easy to tell my story. But my smile is fueled by loved ones God placed in my corner, like family teachers. I possess one of the biggest support systems there is to catch me when I fall. I finally belong to something. I finally have the foundation and people for my heart to call home. Thank you.